All right, let's just get right into it. When you think about the whole game of capitalism, it really feels like there are two different ways to play, right? There's hard mode, and then there's easy mode. Today, we are going to break down the unwritten rules of playing on easy mode. So, what's the big difference here? Well, hard mode is that struggle we all hear about, the one that's kind of romanticized. It's trying to convince a regular person, to spend their hard earned, already tax money on something they might not even need. Easy mode, that is a completely different ballgame. It's all about plugging yourself into the system where the money is already flowing. Society just loves the story of hard mode. Think about it, the struggling artist, the passionate entrepreneur selling handmade candles, or the person on Etsy crafting tote bags. These stories feel so authentic and real, but man, they are an incredibly difficult path to actually building wealth. And this right here, this gets to the absolute core of why it's such a battle. When you're selling to a consumer, you're not just up against other products. No, you are competing with their rent check. You're fighting their student loan payments and all of their deepest financial fears. Every single sale is this huge emotional push to convince them to part with money they're already worried about spending. It's exhausting. But what if there was a different way? What if we could just flip the script? Let's talk about the unromantic, maybe a little boring, but incredibly effective secret to playing life on easy mode. The rule is it's so simple, it's almost silly. If you want to get rich on easy mode, stop trying to take money from stressed out consumers and start helping other people, or better yet, other businesses make more money. That is the entire idea. Seriously, that's it. And look, this isn't just some nice theory. This is literally the operating manual for the biggest, most profitable companies on the entire planet. Trust me, they're not playing on hard mode. Let's just look at how this plays out in the real world. We all see Amazon as this giant online store, right? But its actual profit engine, where it makes the big bucks, is AWS. That's the cloud infrastructure that companies like Netflix use to make their money. Or think about Google and Meta. We see them as social platforms, but really, they're massive advertising machines that other businesses pay billions of dollars to. Why? Because it helps them make more money. Once you start to see this pattern, you literally can't unsee it. Okay, so the theory makes sense, but how do you actually do this? How do you apply it? Let's get into the playbook and break this down into 4 principles you can actually use. So this playbook, it's built on 4 core ideas. Number 1, you got to tie your work directly to revenue. 2, sell to people who actually have money. 3, price your work based on the value you create, not the hours you put in. And finally, number 4, build skills that are as close to the money as you can possibly get. Okay, let's break each one down. All right, first step, tie your work directly to revenue. See, most people think of their job as just a list of tasks, right? Go to meetings, send emails, fill out some reports, but that's not why you get paid. You get paid because somewhere down the line, the work you do helps your employer make more money. This story about Dan is the perfect example. He was struggling trying to sell website design, but the second he reframed his skill, the second he started calling it helping businesses make more money, bam, he could charge way, way more. He didn't actually change what he did. He just changed how he described the value he was creating. I mean, just look at the highest paying jobs out there. A salesperson can point to the exact dollar amount of revenue they brought in. In finance, traders are literally writing code that makes the firm money. Even in law, the partners who get paid millions, it's not because they're the best lawyers. It's because they bring in the wealthiest clients. The closer you are to the money, the more you can earn. Now, this next principle, it sounds so ridiculously obvious that it's almost embarrassing to say, but it's the one most people ignore. You have to sell to people who actually have money to spend. And here's the huge difference. Selling to individual consumers, that's called B2C. It's that emotional battle we were just talking about. But selling to other businesses, or B2B, that's a logical conversation. A business doesn't freak out over a $50,000 invoice if your service is going to help them make an extra $200,000. They just care about one thing, the return on investment, the ROI. Think about it like this for a second. To make $100,000, what sounds easier? Finding 10 clients who can easily afford to pay you 10 grand? Or finding 10,000 customers that you have to fight and convince to spend just $10. The math on easy mode is just, well, it's easier. All right, principle number 3 is a big one, so listen up. Stop charging by the hour. It's a trap. When you charge for your time, you are putting a hard cap on your income, and you're basically paying yourself to work slower. You have to start pricing based on the value you create.
So when it comes to pricing based on value, what's a good rule of thumb?
Well, it pretty much boils down to this one simple number.
A really good starting point is what's called the 1/10th rule. If you can figure out the value you're providing, let's say your work is going to generate an extra $100,000 in profit for a client, then charging 10% of that value, so $10,000, is a total no-brainer for them. They get a huge return on their investment, and you finally get paid what you're actually worth. It's a win-win.
And that brings us to our final principle. You have to understand that not all skills are created equal in the marketplace. You need to build skills that sit as close to the money as you possibly can.
So on the left here, you've got what we can call nice-to-have skills. Graphic design is super valuable, but it's really hard to draw a straight line from a prettier logo to more revenue. But then on the right, you've got what are basically print money skills. Sales is the classic example, of course, but also copywriting, writing the actual words on a sales page that make people click buy. The closer your skill is to generating cold, hard cash, the more valuable it becomes.
So, after going through all that, what's the big takeaway here? What's your next move? Well, the real change isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about a fundamental shift in how you think about your work. And here it is. The uncomfortable truth is, you are already helping someone else make more money. That's what a job is. I mean, unless you work for the government, your employer hired you because you help their business generate more value than they pay you in salary. That gap between the value you create and the money you take home, that's their profit. You're already playing this game, whether you realize it or not.
So the real question you need to ask yourself is this: how, specifically, does your role create value? And more importantly, how can you start tracking it, putting numbers to it, and making that connection to the bottom line so ridiculously clear that it becomes undeniable? Because in the end, getting rich on easy mode isn't about working harder. Some of the hardest working people in the world are the lowest paid. It's about understanding the game you're in, tying your work directly to revenue, and proving without a shadow of a doubt that you are a key part of making someone else richer. It's time to start playing on easy mode.